Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. It has been a while since we've done a video styled like this, but yes, today we are doing another Genshin Impact build showcase video. Now, if you guys are kind of unfamiliar with these series of videos, it's basically, I basically take my main DPS and effectively come up with weird and wacky builds that you could probably try and replicate just for memes, just for fun. So yeah, today I've kind of found a build that actually basically turns Arlecchino extremely immortal, right? And to be fair, I don't think this exclusively is available on Arlecchino. I'm pretty sure anyone can run this team, but you do need to have at least these three characters that you can see that I have on my team. One of them is actually a 5-star, but to be fair, everyone is able to select the 5-star during this patch. So if you haven't actually selected your 5-star just yet, and you want to give one of these builds a go, then go ahead. So yeah, but of course you do have to select Daya, and Daya's obviously not one of the best units. But I've heard that she is going to be getting better with the Natlan patch now, so you definitely could take a bite out of a time bomb if you want to. But yeah, let's run through this team and let's run through what is actually going to be the plot of this entire team. Now, if you guys didn't know, this team is basically going to be all about defense, and I'll show you how. Alright? So, we have Arlecchino. Now, Arlecchino, if you didn't know, is a really strong hyper carry in the game right now. In fact, she is arguably in the top 3 most powerful DPSs in the game right now. You've got, well, Arlecchino and Nouvelet, as well as Alhaitham. They are, as of right now, I believe, the strongest hyper carries in the game. Actually, no, there's also Mualani. So, yeah, Mualani has also come out. So, definitely top 4 DPSs when it comes to actual DPSing. So, yeah, she is a very strong character. Now, as for why this build works quite well on her, now, you could probably tell what constellation she's at if you couldn't really tell from this screen, but what I'm trying to say, guys, is Arlecchino effectively has a passive, okay? And that passive is, what is it, this one? Not this one, this one. It's this one. Yeah, there we go, it's this passive. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, Arlecchino has a passive that basically makes it so that for every 100 attack that Arlecchino has, she will gain 1% increased resistance to absolutely everything. That means physical damage as well as elemental damage, okay? Yeah. And the maximum, okay, the maximum is 3,000. Now, of course, Arlecchino needs to be above 1,000 attack in order for this passive to actually proc, and the maximum is 20%. So, obviously, you know, 20%, 20 multiplied by 100 is 2,000. 2,000 plus 1,000 is 3,000. You get the idea, right? So when Arlecchino has 3,000 attack, she will basically be able to get this passive completed, right? All of it, okay? Yeah. Now, why is this kind of important? Because Arlecchino, if you're not running a shielding unit on the team with Arlecchino, obviously, it's a bit of an issue, okay? So, how do we circumvent this? Well, with this build and team that I'm actually going for. Now, it's not really a build per se, it's more of like just a team addition. Now, as for how it's going to function, well, first of all, we have Xingqi. Now, Xingqi is used in this team. Why is he used, though? Because Xingqi, if you didn't know, generates these rain swords around you while you use his elemental skill or his elemental burst. And if you didn't know, Xingqi's rain swords actually, is it that one or is it this one? I actually can't remember. It is this one, yeah. So if you didn't know, guys, Xingqi basically has these rain swords around him that effectively trigger after you use his elemental skill or after you use his elemental burst. Now, Xingqi's rain swords actually reduce the damage that your active character on the field takes, right? So basically what it does is it takes a portion of the damage that your active character would normally take and basically store it inside the rain sword. After that, the rain sword basically has a limit. Once the rain sword basically reaches its limit, it will explode and it will actually heal your character. That's how it works, right? Yeah. And as for how the scaling of the damage resistance works, now, oddly enough, Xingqi is the only character that, in my opinion, has one of the weirdest scalings in the game, because his defensive capabilities effectively scale off of his hydro damage bonus. You don't get a lot of characters in the game that actually have defensive power that scales off of a form of damage bonus, right? In fact, I think Xingqi is the only one. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but yeah, so basically the more hydro damage bonus Xingqi has, the more damage the rain swords will basically be able to take. Yeah, so 20% of Xingqi's hydro damage bonus will be converted into additional damage reduction for the rain swords. So effectively, at talent level 6, the damage reduction ratio is 25%. So at talent level 6, it's a flat 25%. Alright, guys? It's a flat 25%. But we also need to remember that on top of that, Xingqi will also gain an extra damage reduction on top of the base damage reduction that he has. So at talent level 6, it's 25%. Alright, guys? Now, if we go to specifically my Xingqi has 96.6% hydro damage shred. Okay, guys? So, 10% of 96.6% is what? 9.6%. So 2%, that multiplied by 2 should be around 19-ish%, I should say. Yeah. So effectively, guys, my Xingqi has 19% around extra damage reduction. So that means 25 plus 19, okay, is, well, 25 plus 15 is 40, alright, plus the extra 4, that's 44%. So, 44% extra damage reduction. 44% damage reduction is a lot, alright? And yes, the maximum of Xingqi's talent, just to let you know, the maximum of this skill is 24%. The maximum damage reduction is 24%, which, if you do the math, is 120% hydro damage bonus. That is the maximum, okay? Yeah. So, it's actually quite kind of insane. 44% damage reduction is pretty ridiculous. If you're actually thinking about my personal Xingqi, it's around 19-ish%. Yeah. So, that's one. Alright? Number 2 is Beidou. Now, Beidou also gets damage reduction in her kit, except her damage reduction is on her burst. Her burst is the only thing that gives damage reduction in her kit. Yeah, and it's actually very useful. So, Beidou's burst basically, what is it? Her Thunder Beast's target, right? Or Taj, I should say. It increases the character's resistance and interruption to an interruption, and it decreases the damage taken. Now, by how much does it actually decrease it? 26%. 26% damage reduction. Now, unfortunately, Beidou doesn't have any other form of damage reduction scaling like Xingqi, right? He's the only character, well, as a 4-star at least. He was before Dea came out. So, yeah. At least I think he was before Dea came out. I can't remember if anyone else had a damage reduction in that kit. So, yeah, 26%. So, 44% coming from Xingqi, plus 26% from Beidou, alright? That, if you do the math, is 70%. Yeah, 70%. So I already have, with Beidou and Xingqi, 70% damage reduction, okay? How could I possibly go even higher than that? Well, Dea. Quite literally. Dea exists as a character. Now, if you guys didn't know, Dea's elemental skill, basically, what it does is she basically does like a drop kick and then puts this field on the ground. Now, what that field effectively does is basically it will make it so that anyone within that actual area, right, doesn't actually get, you know, interrupted, right, during their combo. So basically, oh, excuse me. Basically, it gives you damage reduction, as well as resistance to interruption. Now, how much damage reduction does it give? Simple. It gives you 42% at talent level 6. That's nearly 50% at talent level 6. Alright? That's actually kind of ridiculous, okay? Yeah. And the field is actually a generous size as well. Think of it something like, Chongyun's elemental skill. You guys know how big that elemental skill is? Yeah, it's around that size, which is a decent size, big, right? And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, you know, what if the character moves, right? What if my opponent moves while I'm fighting them? The best part about Dea's elemental skill is that you can actually reposition it. You can only reposition it once, however, so you need to be careful when you actually use her elemental skill again to reposition it. Yeah. And of course, there are a load of caveats to Dea's elemental skill, like the fact that it has a 12-second field duration, but a 20-second cooldown. So there's an 8-second downtime where she's basically not giving you anything. So, yes, you will have only the full, you really will only be immune to damage, right, for a short period of time, okay, which I guess kind of is a bit of an issue. But like I said, this is more of a meme build, not really a meta build. So if you guys want to feel immortal for like a few seconds, go ahead. But the reason why I say this is amazing with Arlecchino, like specifically, is because no other DPS actually has any form of defensive capabilities in their kit. Arlecchino does. So let's say you basically get smacked out of Dea's circle for a few seconds and you can't move, right? You won't be taking as much damage as, you know, any other DPS, alright? Yeah. Oh, well, you could also just use a shield character. Okay, you go do that. This is for the people that don't want to use a shield character, or are using a shield character for another team, and they just want to have fun and enjoy the game, you know, like every other person that wants to play a game, not play the meta. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, 70% from Jingtree and Beidou, plus the 42% from Dea, equals 112% damage reduction. Yes, you go over 100% damage reduction. What does that mean? That means you basically become immortal. You, unironically, do not take any damage. If you hit 100% damage reduction, okay, you will not take any damage. Alright? Yeah. Now, before Dea came out, the only way to actually reach 100% damage reduction was if you use Beidou and Jingtree and Jean. However, Jean doesn't have any form of damage reduction. She only has damage reduction in her kit once you get her 6th constellation. Yeah, basically at that point she acts like Dea. She basically plays her ultimate down, and when you're in that field, you take 35% less damage reduction, which is a bit of an issue, because obviously Jean needs to be C6. Not only is she a 5-star, but she's a standard 5-star. So I guess if you've been getting really unlucky on the banner rolls and stuff like that, right, you might have a very high constellation Jean, and some of you might already have C6 Jean at this point in time from just losing a load of 50-50s. So maybe you've already done this build, but with Jean. But let me tell you guys something right now, okay? If you look, all right, let me just, is there a way to see? Yeah, sword, Animo. As you can clearly see, I don't have Jean, okay? I've been playing the game since patch, you know what? Yeah, since patch 5, no, sorry. I've been playing the game since patch 1.0. I literally started the game on the 29th of September, 2020. Yeah, I've been playing the game since patch 1.0, and I don't have Jean, okay? Fun fact, I also don't have Razor, believe it or not, and I've been playing the game since patch 1.0. I don't have Razor, and more importantly, I don't have Jean. So, there might be some of you out there that have been playing for a very long time, haven't really been rolling on the banners that much, meaning that you don't really have Jean. So, yeah. If you don't have Jean, this is really the only other way for you to be able to reach 100% without it being too expensive for people. Of course, you will need to have gotten Dea, or, you know, either won the 50-50 if you rolled for her banner, or if you lost the 50-50 for the limited banner. Yeah, I don't really know how that works. I mean, I do, but, you know, whether I should wish good luck or bad luck to people. But, yeah. That's basically the build. Now, or the team showcase. Now, I do have to actually put the artifacts on my Dea, the one I want to use. As for which one I will be using, I'm going to be using Tenacity of the Millilith. So, yeah, I will be using Tenacity of the Millilith. Because it's just the better set for her. It works really well with her. Coordinated attacks and her elemental skill as well. So, yeah. Actually, let me just do that right now. Let me just, yeah, let's just pop Zhongli's artifacts on there. I don't really care about the substats that much. I'll just, it's not that one, it's this one. Ooh. You see, I could use energy recharge. But nah, Dea's Burst doesn't really do much anyway. You could honestly get away with not using Dea's Burst and you'll be perfectly fine. HP. And even more HP. Where is he? HP, yeah. Alright, so guys, just to quickly run through, these are the stuff that I'm using. So, Sacrificial Sword on Jingtree, and yes, I do have, like, Heart of Depth on both of them. Alright, I have I have double Hydra damage bonus, because like I said, this build is purely going for just defense. So, as much defense as I could possibly get. Alright, yeah. As for Beidou, Beidou's running only 2-piece Noblesse Oblige for some reason. I don't know why. Let me change that real quick. Where's Bennett? Use this. That's already on. That's already on. That is, and... okay, now I have 4-piece. Now I have the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige, and it doesn't really matter what set bonuses are on. Alright, so yeah, this build is kind of allows Arlecchino to be somewhat, like, you know, defensive, but also provides a lot of support. Because you've got Beidou, who's wearing Noblesse, Dea, who's wearing, you know, Tenacity of the Millilith, Jingtree just doing a lot of Hydra damage, so yeah, this build should work out pretty damn well. Now, as for how much damage this build does, well, we don't actually know, so we're going to go over my Arlecchino's own stats and see how it goes. So, now keep in mind, guys, I do have Arlecchino's signature weapon, so there is that. I do have her signature weapon, number 1. It's at R1 as well, and number 2, her piece is also her own signature set, because somehow I had the sanity to do this artifact set and not get annoyed at myself, even though some of the pieces are really awful. But, well, I guess you can judge for yourself. Now, obviously, this first piece is pretty good, right? But this piece, and this is the only good piece out of 5 of them. Well, 2 out of the 5 pieces are really good. The other 2, not so much. The other 3, not so much. So, yeah. This is the flower that I'm using. This is the feather that I'm using. Yes, I know it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's just crit rate, but I need the crit rate. So, yeah. As for the timepiece, this is the timepiece that I'm using. It's also not bad, to be fair. Yeah, definitely could be better. There is also this Elemental Mastery Goblet that I have, which, to be fair, for this team is probably better because you're going to be doing a lot of reactions, right, and stuff like that. But remember, guys, Arlecchino's passive revolves around her having high attack. So, if you want the maximum defense, which I will be doing in this video, I will only be showcasing the attack percent timepiece. Alright, yeah. Because it makes sense with this build. As for the goblet, this is the goblet that I'm using. This is the good piece that I was talking about. And this is the helmet, which is meh, I guess. Yeah. So, altogether, my Arlecchino's split is 65% crit rate with 229.9% crit damage. Now, that is actually pretty respectable, I would say. So, yeah. Also, one other thing to mention, guys. My Arlecchino is C3, so there's also that which is going to be being played into account here. So, yeah, don't get any ideas that your Arlecchino is going to hit this hard, right? Because my Arlecchino is definitely high investment, I would say, except the artifacts, but that doesn't really matter because I like my sanity and I would like to retain my sanity. So, yeah. I do plan on going all the way to C6 at some point. So yeah, I'm just trying to save up as much as I can. Because once I get her C6, oh boy, this constellation. This constellation is going to be absolutely insane. So, yeah, this constellation. It's just a shame that the next two constellations just don't really add much to Arlecchino's personal damage. But it is what it is. Oh, right. Also, I think you guys already saw, but my Arlecchino is level 13, 10, and 10. So, yeah. Now, onwards towards, what was his name again? I forgot. Masamune, was it? I actually can't remember. Masanori, that's it. Yeah. So, we fight this man. Now, of course, what we have to do is we have to get Beidou's burst up.
Laid bare. Rain outlines your fate. Huh?
Okay, well, you see, that's a bad usage right there. But you guys see, I only took like 1700 damage. And there we go.
Ring cutter to ashes.
Oh right, I completely forgot. I actually have a shield. Oh wow. Okay, well.
Cut down.
Okay, so I did actually completely forget that I actually have Beidou C1. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Beidou C1 actually creates a shield. Yeah, it's not ideal, but what it does is it basically creates a shield, and what the shield does is, well, obviously it stops all forms of damage. If you didn't know, I don't actually use Beidou at all. In fact, I've never actually used... In fact, believe it or not, I didn't actually have Beidou for a very long time either. In fact, I only got her in patch 4.0, and I haven't really used her ever since. I only built her for this actual video. So, I actually completely forgot that I even had C1 Beidou, which makes this entire video completely useless. Basically, every time I use my burst now, I just get a shield. So, I have made my own video completely redundant. But basically, guys, if for those of you that don't actually have C1 Beidou, this is a really, really excellent team that I would honestly recommend. Because, well, for fun, of course, for fun. You guys saw the amount of damage I was doing, right? You all saw the amount of damage I was doing. Yeah, you all saw the amount of damage I was doing, and it is a lot of damage, okay? Even at C0, you genuinely will still deal a lot of damage.
Let me try.
No, my sword. Huh? Let's get it on. Hi. Let me leave you a burst.
It's over. This will end you.
Power that ended my shot. Overruled.
Yep, this seems... You see what I mean, guys? Like, it's a lot of damage, and I didn't even get the rotation completely correct. So, yeah, I would honestly say this team is pretty damn busted. Now, of course, my Jing Tree has had some damage taken, but look, Deia's fine, Beidou's fine, Arlecchino's basically fine. Like, you don't take a lot of damage with this build. You don't. I mean, of course, Jing Tree did, because he was kind of the first in the rotation, but still, he didn't get, like, completely one-tapped, you know? Like, he's still above half of his HP. Yeah, he's still above half. So, it's actually not that bad, right? It really isn't that bad, this build. So, what would I recommend this build completely? Out of a fun comp, this definitely is very fun. And also, this team is actually fairly well balanced as well. Not just for defense, but also
Something
offense.
you wish
Because
to report? Go on. You have my undivided attention.
you also have the Pyro Resonance, which increases Arlecchino's attack by 25%. Then you have, you know, the fact that you're also running Vaporize and Overload, which means you're technically running an Overvape team. You're overloading and vaporizing at the same time, right? Which are the two most powerful reactions. And Overload is definitely starting to get a lot more meta again, because the enemies are a lot more difficult to try and knock away. The only problem with Overload is that it just pushed enemies away, and it was very, very annoying to get towards them, right? You always needed an Animo character in order to keep them in a certain area to run Overload, right?
Never mind.
Now,
let them do as they please.
not anymore. Now, not anymore. So, the enemies are becoming a lot heavier and a lot more, you know, stagger resistant. So, Overload is genuinely a really good thing to build now. So, yeah, it's actually kind of insane as to how strong this team actually is. Now, I probably won't be swapping it out for my own team, but it's still a very, very nice team to play around with. Of course, the whole point of the video kind of was just shunned away because my Beto is C1 and I didn't even know that she was C1, but I will still post this video, mainly because it gives you guys a good idea as to how you could probably build a team around this. Now, this isn't solely an Arlecchino build showcase. This is more of like a team showcase, right? That you can definitely use these three characters, Jingtree, Beto, and Dea, to actually run this team. You honestly could, right? So, is this video made redundant? Not really. Not really. If you don't have C0 Beto, or even if you don't want, even if you're not just going to be running defensive abilities, you're still running Jingtree, one of the strongest, in fact, maybe the strongest, right? But one of the strongest 4-stars in the game, okay? Beto, who's also one of the strongest 4-stars in the game, and Dea, who's definitely starting to find her place back in the meta again, right? She definitely is starting to find herself in the meta again for, like, Burgeon teams, Burning teams, and also Linny Mono Pyro teams. Even Mono Pyro teams in general, right, are actually preferring to go Dea rather than the other person, which is Zhang Ling. So, yeah, mainly because the Mono Pyro team, Dea just gives more comfort, right? Whether it's more damage or not, she just gives more comfort, right? So, Dea is definitely starting to claw herself back up to the top, right? Well, where she was supposed to be during her release, but obviously wasn't, right? So, I would honestly say that this video just shows that these three characters synergize really, really well together, with or without a shielding unit, and they're also brilliant as teammates, right? They all synergize really well together. You're running Overvape. It's insanely well paired with any type of DPS that just wants some form of damage, right? And survivability on top of that, right? Like if you were to run Al-Hytham, okay? You'd be running Burgeon and Hyperbloom at the same time. I don't know if that really works. I'm not familiar with Dendro reactions. But, you know, you'd be running a really interesting amalgamation of different reactions, which would be very, very interesting. So, yeah, there's a lot of potential with these three units. So, that's basically been the video, guys. I have been Carvinus14, and still am, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.